Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about one of the world's most important issues. And unfortunately, some companies do not put this important factor in their business at the level of priority or importance that it should carry. And if everybody knows what I'm talking about, it's you, the human capital. Human capital, ladies and gentlemen, is, whether you like it or not, a company's number one most valuable asset. And there's a lot of protagonists out there or antagonists that tell you no, our most valuable asset is our aircraft, our building, our technology, our machines. Well, let me tell you, that's absolute ludicrousy. Anybody who says that to you will fail. Anybody who tells you that the equipment, the factory, the aircraft, the technology, the invention is worth more than the people that make it happen has no idea of what business is about in the 22nd century. Ladies and gentlemen, any business, any idea, Apple, Google, Facebook, no matter who they are, of what size they are, McDonald's, one of the world's most powerful fast food chains, and the only fast food chain who's survived for nearly 30 years in business. Ladies and gentlemen, they value their people as their most valuable asset, and that is a fact. Does everybody here want to be considered to be an asset to their company? Put your hand up. If you would like to be an asset, put your hand up. Only one person wants to be an asset. What's going on? All of you don't care about your salary. You don't care how important you are. Again, everybody who wants to be the most valuable asset in their company, wave to me. Let's go. Everyone, all 159 of you, wave to me. Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's talk about human capital. Let's talk about how important human capital is to you and to you to succeed. I need to remind Wilma Alped and Wilma Anped and Zama Gardosi, unless I see you in the camera on screen, Sanda Ong, there will be no certificate issued to you. This is my final warning. Okay, so remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are people. You want to be treated as a company's most valuable asset. Unfortunately, some companies fail to recognize this. They fail to realize what human capital is and how important human capital is. Let me share my screen with you now, and let's talk about human capital. Okay, one moment, please. One moment, please. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about human capital. Can everybody see my big yellow PowerPoint? Yes or no? Can everybody see it? Wave your hands to me if you can see my PowerPoint. Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, human capital is critical. And the reason it's critical is because without human capital, not only that company or that business will stop, but the world will come to a stop. Human capital plays an important role, not only running a company, but running one of the largest companies in the world, and that's the human economy. Let's talk about human capital. Ladies and gentlemen, human capital today, especially post-COVID-19, has become a very much triple important factor for any organization, because during COVID-19, a lot of organizations lost their best employees because business had dropped and they couldn't afford to support them. They made a stupid mistake of putting the owner's profit first rather than their human capital first. What happened is they lost their experienced people. After COVID-19, these people had already found another job, and they are no longer available to go back to their previous employer. Why? Because their previous employer treated them as objects, not as their most valuable asset. Does everybody understand where I'm coming from? Yes or no? Okay, good. So importance of human capital in business today is very critical. Human capital is usually considered in most organizations, or in the majority of organizations, should be considered the world or the organization's number one most valuable asset. Because without humans, there will not be anyone to sell the company's products. There will not be anyone to clean toilets. There will not be any nurses in hospitals to make sure you get the right medication and the human touch that you need in order to recover. Yes, I know robots can control the storage of medicine and can tell the nurse whether she's giving you the right tablets or not, provided a human packed them in the right plastic bag and the right barcode was applied. A doctor can treat you and do open heart surgery with the hope that you'll live. A robot can't, because no robot today has the ability to think like a doctor or a human doctor. And unfortunately, robots are not allowed to do the operation without a human doctor's involvement. There is parts of an operation where artificial intelligence and mechanical pieces are involved, but a doctor is still at the control. A pilot flies an aircraft. He has an autopilot, but the human element is still required. The human capital, not matter whether it's an airline, a hospital, cleaning toilets, babysitting, or serving customers, is effectively the heartbeat of any business. Any organization around the world today who tell you that they can operate without humans are living in their own world, and they will fail. That I guarantee. Every organization, whether it uses artificial intelligence, whether Amazon has robots in its warehouses, they still need human beings to control those robots, program those robots, and make them work effectively. Human capital, ladies and gentlemen, allows an economy to grow. It allows economies all over the world to maintain surplus, have a gross domestic product, reduce inflation, and operate. It allows the economy to collect taxes and have money to fund its government. When human capital increases in areas such as science, education, hospitals, health services, research, basically all of these areas are necessary in order to keep society functioning and alive. You need education to educate people so they can get jobs. You need hospitals to look after people and deliver babies. You need airlines so people can travel from one economy to the other in order to do their job. Every single person employed, every element or every person in the total human capital count helps his or her country's economy. They help that country's economy become more productive and be able to actually generate revenue for that company, and in return, a gross domestic product for their economy. Let's look at what is human capital and why is human capital important. Number one, the concept of human capital is gaining increasing recognition in the business world as organizations are realizing that their employees are their most valuable asset. If you work for a boss and he does not recognize that you are his or her most valuable asset, it's time you look for a new job, because he does not value you as a member of his team. But you should find a new job before you leave your current job. Do not just leave your job. That would be stupid. All right? If you are not considered a valuable asset to your organization and you do not play a role in your organization generating revenue, and you don't play a role which is considered important to your organization, then you don't have the ability, competency, or capability, or you failed to meet the job requirements and you are just a number. And that means no matter how hard you work, you will not get promoted. Your salary will never increase. It's simple because your organization forgot the importance of human capital. Your organization forgot its responsibility towards human capital. That's why you have become passive rather than active. That's why you're no longer eccentric. Does everybody know what I mean by the word eccentric? Yes or no? Who can tell me what does the word eccentric mean? Can anybody put their hand up and tell me other than Govind? Who can tell me what does the word eccentric mean? Jeffrey, do you think you can tell me, Jeffrey? Go ahead, Jeffrey Paul. Come on, try, mate. Don't be shy. Come on, wake up. Tell me, what do you think it means, Jeffrey? Okay, all right. Who else would like to try? Tun Shui, would you like to try and tell me what does eccentric mean, Tun Shui? Can you unmute your microphone? Come on, don't be shy, mate. You've heard this before, Tun Shui. Don't disappoint me. What does eccentric mean? Unmute your microphone. Come on, Tun Shui. I can't hear you. Govind, can you unmute Mr. Tun Shui's microphone now, please? Go ahead, Tun Shui. Talk to me. Are you there? Are you there, Tun Shui? You don't want to talk to me. Okay. What about Rian Raina? Raina, would you like to talk to me, young lady? Beautiful young lady in green top. How about you unmute your microphone? Go ahead, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Go ahead. Unmute your microphone. Tell me, Raina, what do you think eccentricity means? What does it mean to be eccentric? Unmute your microphone, Raina. You're muted. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Hold on, Raina. Somebody's put music on. Mr. Govind, can you mute the person with the music? Go ahead, Raina. What do you think eccentric means? Tell me.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, what does eccentric mean to you, Raina? Are you there, Raina? What does eccentric mean to you? Are you there, Raina? Okay, I can't hear you, Raina. I'll come back to you. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk to someone else. Now, now, shall we? Hi, now. Would you like to try? Where are you now? Hello, now. Do you want to unmute your microphone? Now? Now, Shao Su Hui. Would you like to unmute your microphone, young lady? Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Are you there? All right, let's try someone else. Let's talk to Edlin. Edlin Valencia. Hi, Edlin. How are you tonight? Hi, Edlin. Unmute your microphone for me, Edlin. Go ahead, Edlin. Unmute your microphone.
It's already unmute, sir.
Good. Tell me, what do you think eccentricity means? Go ahead.
In my opinion, it's a person who's thinking or the opinion is always different from the other people, something like that, sir.
Thank you. Eccentricity means bringing new ideas about, not doing things the way you used to do them yesterday.
Yeah,
So
yeah, something like
eccentricity in today's economy means to keep generating new ideas. And for human capital to do that, they have to feel a sense of motivation. And what motivates human capital? Unfortunately, and this is the wrong word to use, but it's money. If people are not recognized by the right motivation or the right financial incentive, they lose their drive to eccentricity. And it's not their fault. It's usually because the employer fails to understand what ingredients are required to look after their human capital. Just like when you buy a jumbo 747 and maintenance has to look after it and make sure it's serviced every day or every time it flies, humans need to be looked after. They need to be trained, they need to be developed, they need to be mentored, and they need to be recognized with the right level of incentive. Number two, from an employer's perspective, investing in human capital can lead to personal and professional growth. So if you think that Amazon can survive without human capital, you're wrong. If you think that Steve Jobs could have made Apple the company that it is today without the brains and human capital of the people he recruited to drive Apple along the train ride, you're wrong. If you think that Google can survive with the balance of the employees they just fired, which was about 13,000 employees, if you think they can survive without the remaining staff, you're probably wrong. They probably will survive with even less because Google is heavily overstaffed. They could probably do away with another 20% and become lean, and they would still survive. Most of the people at Google work from home. They work very little. They spend a lot of time sitting in front of their screen. So some people are asking, should Google become more profitable, become more lean? But that's not the Google ideology. The Google ideology is to have enough people to make sure that they're there in the event that the Google customer or Google's platform needs support. And that has been the Google philosophy. So if you're wondering why Google employs so many people, that's the reason. But they're learning to change. They have become a leaner organization. All right, let's talk about number three. Number three is from an employer's viewpoint. Investing in human capital is essential for business growth and success. Well, for without the people that Steve Jobs brought to Apple to develop the technology which he actually conceived in his own head, which was a dream, Apple wouldn't exist today. The other one is there are various ways in which organizations can invest in human capital. Investing in human capital is not simply paying salaries. Investing in human capital means providing the right incentive via training, via motivation, via development, and by giving people a track that they can look forward to develop a career. Number five, while investing in human capital is crucial, essential to consider the most effective and efficient approaches in managing human capital. If you employ someone and you get them to do the same mechanical job day after day, that is not taking care of human capital. That means you're employing a machine, and eventually that machine will break down and rust, and the mind will go from an active mind to a passive mind. And unless that employer is able to repair that machine and replace its passive mindset, then that employee is one part of human capital loss. And that's a fact of life. 6, in conclusion, understanding the importance of human capital is vital for businesses along for organizational success and growth. So if you don't realize as an organization how important the people that drive your organization are, then your organization is doomed for failure. The average life of a corporate structure today is somewhere between 5 to 12 years, providing they rebrand themselves and they're able to drive some form of retention in human capital. For those who do not rebrand themselves, for those who are not innovative and do not bring out new products or services, the lifespan is usually shorter, 5 to 8 years. For companies who are constantly innovating, companies who are constantly showing how their people can contribute to their success will survive. You've got McDonald's, got Starbucks, you've got Amazon. Amazon just reduced its workforce because business during COVID-19 increased 25 times multiple of what they had, if not more, in some markets. So now that COVID-19 has gone back to sleep or is softer, they no longer need the number of people they had. They have still retained more than they had pre-COVID-19, but it's not at the same levels as they had during COVID-19. They actually grew their business 25 to 50 times during COVID-19. And that is one of the main reasons why Amazon is now the world's leading e-commerce platform by revenue, by number of customers, and by size. So let me go on. we can actually come to the conclusion that human capital contributes to innovation and productivity of a country's economy. That's a fact. Number two, human capital also plays a vital role in the development of technology. Well, that is evident by the fact that Apple went from nothing to what it is today. And for without Steve Jobs and his mentality, Apple would be a stale apple in the rubbish bin by now. It would be rotten. It wouldn't be functioning. It would have no vitamins to function. Steve Jobs had a philosophy. He said that when I employ people and pay them a salary based on their knowledge and what they deserve, it's not for me to tell them how to do their job. It's for me to motivate them and tell them what I expect and let them show me how to get that result. And that is the philosophy that Jobs ran Apple with. And sadly, Tim Cook took about 5 years to learn that after Jobs died. Now Tim Cook has become more adaptable to the Jobs philosophy. After all, Tim Cook was trained by Steve Jobs, but unfortunately he didn't learn all the lessons. It took him some time to understand that Jobs treated the people that worked for him and valued them at a certain level of respect in the human capital chain. Okay, and now his replacement has realized that. Amazon has always realized that. Starbucks have always realized that. McDonald's have always realized that. Airlines have now come to realize that. Look at the United Kingdom. Look at Europe. Airports are crippled because captains, pilots, airline crew, engineers go on strike. Look at Qantas Australia. The airline is ruined due to poor management. It's due to a CEO who thought he could recuperate his losses during COVID-19 by getting rid of the people that worked for him. What he did is he outsourced ground services. He outsourced quality of cabin crew to agencies instead of training cabin crew himself. What happened to Qantas Australia, one of the world's leading airlines 25 years ago? It was one of the world's #1 airlines. It went from being a #1 airline to being an airline that no one wanted to fly because of late departures, late arrivals, technical problems, and poor service, both in the air and on the ground. What happened to Qantas Australia? About a year ago, Alan Joyce, the failed CEO, the biggest mistake that Qantas ever made, was fired. The board fired him about a year ago. They fired him because not only did he give away all of the company's most valuable asset, its people, and now those people have gone to other airlines, and it's going to take time to bring back that experience or that expertise. But it's also because he used his customers and misused their customers' money in running the company. People bought tickets, and when they couldn't fly, he promised them that they could use those tickets after a certain time. That time expired, and he refused to refund their money. The Australian government got involved, and thank God, Qantas Australia were forced to pay back some $500 million to customers who Alan Joyce had told they couldn't get their money back because COVID-19 came and they didn't use the tickets within the 12 months that he gave them. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Joyce forgot the value of human capital. That's why he's no longer CEO of Qantas, once one of the world's leading airlines. Let's look at Nokia. Nokia used to manufacture mobile phones. Nokia failed because Nokia was not prepared to listen to the engineers that worked for it. They weren't prepared to listen to what their customer wanted. They were focused on producing a black and white analog screen phone that was nowhere near a smartphone. Their mobile business crashed. They sold it to Microsoft. Microsoft paid hundreds of millions of dollars for it. And after 1 to 2 years, Microsoft closed that business completely. They couldn't make money out of it. So what happened? Nokia came back into the picture, but now they do not design their own phones. They rely on a company in China to do the research and development, a company similar to Foxconn. They accept the model and they have their name placed on that technology. So it's basically somebody else's technology using a Nokia brand. Okay, so human capital is a key element. Number 4, countries that invest in human capital often experience lower levels of poverty and income inequality. Well, that's true. If you go to the streets of Mumbai in India and see all the beggars on the street, it's because the government has done nothing to help these children who beg and work at the age of 5, cleaning the gutters and the toilets and living in the sewers. Because the government is not prepared to do anything to educate them and put them into jobs, the economy suffers. And that's a fact. Whether you look at Lebanon, you look at India, you look at Thailand 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, before the former king of Thailand changed that ideology. That's a fact. Look at Switzerland. Switzerland makes sure that every child gets educated, whether he wants it or not, whether it's an academic education or a technical education. Every person in Switzerland is taught how to do a job. But in India, little kids walk the streets. Same in the Philippines. Little kids walk amongst traffic selling flowers that they steal from gardens to be able to buy food. It's not a dream, it's a reality, because their governments are not investing and educating human capital for their economies. Number 5, finally, the benefits of investing in human capital are long-lasting, and they are. Look at Apple. The importance of human capital in business harmony today. Business requires certain elements to function. Just like you need music to dance, you need a girlfriend to have company to go out to dinner with, you need a girlfriend to eventually marry. All of these things are a result of interaction and harmony. Every economy in the world requires people, because without human capital, there's no harmony in that economy. There's no one to work, no one to stimulate that economy. Companies cannot operate because there's not enough labor. Let's look at Singapore. Everybody knows Singapore. Singapore has a problem because most Singaporeans will not work in a factory. They're too proud. A lot of Singaporeans will not work in food and F&B. They think it's below their standard. So Singapore has to rely on Malaysia and other countries. If Singaporeans could work, we would not need Malaysian labor. But the fact is that it's cheaper to employ Malaysians than it is to employ Singaporeans. Okay, so there is a reason behind everything. The reasons why Filipinos get to work in hotels all over the world is because they have qualities in customer service and a passion to deal with customers that other nationalities don't have. Same with Burmese, same with Vietnamese. They bring a quality to that industry. Human capital. It plays a critical role in spurring economic growth, innovation, and competitiveness. With the advent of knowledge economy, educated economies, trained economies, educated labor, whether blue collar or white collar. If it's blue collar, it's labor. If it's white collar, it's skilled professionals. Governments have prioritized investment in human capital and shown the world that they can be successful. Look at Singapore. Singapore invests hundreds of millions of dollars in its education system. It spends more money on educating every child and makes it compulsory than it does on other elements, because they know that there's a benefit at the end of the tunnel, a light at the end of the tunnel, that every child will be able to get a job, and not only a blue-collar job, but a white-collar skilled job. Look at the United States. You think the United States is a rich company? You're living in the wrong economy. The US suffers from unemployment. The US suffers from high rates of inflation. The United States economy is in a mess. And the reason for that is look at their unemployment figures. People in the US cannot afford to buy food. 2 people have to work 2 jobs in order to put food in the fridge to raise their son or daughter because they're blue-collar workers. That means their government has failed. Their government has failed to place enough emphasis on how important human capital is. The government has failed to set minimum wages for certain jobs to ensure that these people are allowed to survive. Why? Because it's a failed economic policy. And regardless whether you like it or not, it's a fact. People in the US are living in the gutters, under the bridges, and they're not only in small numbers, they're in very large numbers. The US government's not going to tell you that. Joe Biden is not going to tell you that because he knows he's going to lose the election soon, whether he likes it or not. Okay, there's no way the Biden administration can run again. And there's no way that the Biden administration will have the support of the people because of what they've done since they took over the economy. And that's why most governments fail, because they neglect the most important element in their economy, their population, their citizens, their human capital. The importance of human capital is now widely recognized across different fields, including economics, business, and education. Human capital is now a key driver of economic development and a source of competitive advantage for firms and countries alike. We know that restaurants cannot operate without humans to serve their customers. We know that every time a girl goes to a salon, she wants a young, hunky guy, a good-looking guy, or every time a guy goes to a salon, he wants a good-looking girl wearing a miniskirt to give him a new look. You don't want a robot looking after you. You don't want a robot coloring your hair. You don't want a robot showing you how to put makeup on. What happens if he puts chemicals on your face and burns your skin? There's some jobs that machines can't do. There's some jobs that we as a human race will never accept a replacement in. And that's a fact. Unfortunately, the longer it takes some companies to realize that, the greater number of customers they're going to lose. Let me give you an industry example. Restaurants around the world have gone into putting in self-service terminals where you go in, you place your order through a self-service terminal, you pay for it with an ATM card or a credit card or cash. It gives you a piece of paper with a queue number to collect your food. The restaurants who have done that around the world have, over the last 2 years, on average, lost 5 to 15% of their regular customers who don't like to order through a machine because the machine cannot understand their special requirements. You don't believe me? Go and talk to McDonald's. You don't believe me? Go and talk to KFC. You don't believe me? Go and talk to Jollibee in the Philippines, who still believes in having people behind their counter to take an order. Go and talk to Starbucks. Starbucks have not employed self-order terminals. You can employ through your phone, you can order through your phone, but Starbucks has not put self-service machines in their restaurants because they know that when people go into Starbucks, they expect to talk to a human person because that's the ambience of Starbucks, creating a live environment where people feel welcome. But if you want to use your mobile phone to order and arrive there and pick it up, that's up to you. But they're not going to force you to do it. There's still people to serve you. Human capital in business today is typically managed by an organization's human resource department. Now, I don't know if any of you here work in human resources. Does anybody here work in human resources? Can you put your hand up? How many of you work in human resources? Anyone? Come on, show me a hand. Anyone? Anybody work in human resources? No? Are you sure? Okay. Has anybody interacted with their human resources department recently? No? Well, when you got employed, your human resources department offered you a job. When you get fired, human resources terminate you. or they are the ones that accept your resignation letter. So human resources departments are basically the heartbeat of any organization because they're responsible for overseeing workforce acquisition, management, and optimization. And their job includes planning, making sure they recruit enough people, train enough people, develop enough people, and retain enough people. Retention is critical. Human capital is an essential source of innovation, and that means human capital. Innovation is a crucial driver in economic growth and competitiveness. It creates new products and services and business models that meet changing needs of customers and consumers worldwide. Human capital is a critical input in the innovation process. Without chefs bringing new recipes to restaurants, without Michelin star chefs, young chefs becoming world famous, F&B business would die. How many of you eat steak? Put your hand up if you eat steak. Put your hand up if you eat meat. Come on, only 3 people. Put your hand up. Very good. Okay, well, let me tell you, if you expect a robot to cook your steak, you're crazy. If you can allow an untrained professional to cook a $60 piece of American beef or a $90 piece of Australian beef or a $200 piece of Wagyu beef or a piece of beef that's been aged for 100 days, which will sell in a 5-star restaurant for $300, then you have the wrong conception. These restaurants cannot operate without skilled labor. And if they don't employ skilled labor, they will lose their customers. Because as Claude tells you, as Jeffrey tells you, as Raina tells you, when we go to eat a steak, we expect a certain quality of meat cooked in a certain way. Would you agree with that, Claude? Claude? Okay. So if Claude goes into a restaurant today, or Raina goes into a restaurant and orders a piece of prime, US grade ribeye, and she pays $200 for that ribeye, she expects it to be aged. She expects it to be cooked to perfection. So if Raina says medium rare, she expects it to be taken off the flame at perfect medium rare temperature. So when she puts her knife through it, there's blood on her plate. That's what Raina expects. But sadly, the restaurants that don't deliver that die. Why? I'll give you an example. Does everybody know about Salt Bay Salt, the famous steakhouse that has now gone out of business? Put your hand up if you know about Bay. No one knows about Salt. No one knows about the man who used to put the salt on the beef and charge £2,000 for a steak. Thank you, Jeffrey. If you don't know about it, go and look up Bay Salt or Salt Bay, whatever he called himself in your part of the world. He was a king of steak. He survived for 3 years, and now his business empire, some 40 restaurants around the world, have closed. Why? Because he told his customers he was providing them expensive ingredients, a gold-covered piece of steak for £2,000. That piece of steak only cost him $60. He sold it for £2,000. But the people that cooked it were not the quality chefs that he promised. They were just cooks that he employed in the country he went to. They weren't award-winning chefs. He got greedy. He started employing more untrained people. He started increasing his prices. The quality of his product fell. People accused him of selling them meat which was not the quality he actually promoted. He went out of business. He's been closed down. He's been barred from opening any more restaurants in certain countries. Why? Because he forgot the importance of having the right human capital. He did not want to reward people for what they were worth. He was focused on making a quick buck, and the consumer eventually realized that. All right. Innovation is a crucial driver of economic growth. It creates competitiveness. It creates new products and services and business models that meet changing needs of today's economy. Today, more than ever, people are environmentally friendly. People want products that are environmentally friendly. People don't eat anything. They're very health conscious. How many of you ladies are health conscious? Put up your hands if you eat with an open, health conscious mind. Only 2, only 3, only 4. Then all the other girls here are lying to me. Mary Sung, are you health conscious when you eat, Mary Sung? You have you're very careful what you eat, Mary. Am I right? Yes, Mary. Put up your hand, Mary. Okay, good. Manilyn, young Manilyn, beautiful young Manilyn with her beautiful long hair. You're very careful about what you eat, right? You have a very good choice of food, so you look healthy. Am I right? Yes or no? Manilyn? Yes, okay. So don't be shy. When I ask you a question, put up your hand. So you are very, very good. So you are all conscious of what you eat. So when you go to a restaurant, your expectations of the quality of food you're going to get have changed. And therefore, restaurants now have to meet your expectations or lose your business. Would you agree with that, girls? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, I know, Manilyn. I know. Okay, so I want you to ask yourselves, if you go to a restaurant and you order a burger and the burger has 70% fat, would you eat that, Manilyn? A hamburger with 70% fat? She won't. She knows it's bad for her health. So people have an expectation that when you go to McDonald's, the hamburger only has 0.9% of the 100% beef and fat. Actual fact, it has a little bit more. It has about 0.18 or 0.20%, depending on where the beef comes from. But the fact is, that's why people eat McDonald's, because they believe in a product of a certain quality and an evolving change of consumer expectations. Remember, I taught you the 5 C's of centricity. In order to be customer centric, you must understand what the customer wants, what the customer needs, how the customer wants it, how much he or she are prepared to pay for it, and where they're prepared to go to buy it. Let's take the success of companies like Apple Inc., Google, Amazon. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you ever forget that the only reason they're successful is because of their innovative capabilities, not the innovative capabilities of the corporate body or the name, the capabilities of the people who work for them. If it wasn't for the engineers and the developers that work that you don't know of, and there's thousands of them working at Apple, or the 2,000 of them that work at Google, or the 200 of them that develop systems and keep the websites and the e-commerce platform at Amazon or Alibaba functioning, those companies would not be what they are today. Human capital is very much part of the ecosystem. Human capital enhances productivity and efficiency. Human capital repairs machines, it repairs technology. Human capital writes software to make robots work faster and artificial intelligence to function. Human capital plays a capital role in improving productivity and efficiency in any system. It is the human mind. Robots are programmed by human beings. Factory assembly lines are controlled by human manufacturing engineers who decide what each part of the assembly line and robot does. Investing in employee training and development can lead to higher productivity as employees become more skilled and efficient in their jobs. If you get employed by a company, but you're not trained on a regular basis, you will lose interest in that job and your skills will not improve. You'll go from having a active mind to a passive mind. Can anybody here tell me what's the difference between an active and passive mind? Who can tell me what is the difference between an active and passive mind? It's very important that you participate. Would anybody like to share? Anyone, put up your hand for me. Come on, don't make me call on you, please. I hate calling. Okay, I do love calling, but not all the time. Claude, how are you, mate? Talk to me, Claude. Good to see you. Go ahead, Claude.
Hi, Wally, and everybody. Good day. Thank you very much. So, being active in your mind means you want to change something, and you are available to accept change as well for the growth of a company. Being passive means just the opposite. If you want to be passive, you just decide not to do anything.
And what happens eventually, Claude? If you become passive, what happens to you eventually?
Eventually, either if you are in business, the business will be passive. It will not even focus on helping customers at all. It does not want to grow at all. So it will stay in a passive situation, and it will actually eventually fall over to all the the people working for the company, and they will become passive as well. So it's extremely important that management stays active, so its employees and employers stay active as well.
Great. Thank you, Claude. You're on the right track. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What Claude just told you about going to a passive mind state or state of mind is detrimental, because based on human resource experts, people who made their life human resources. I'm not talking about a human resource clerk. I'm talking about people that have been in human resources and written papers, 20, 30 years of experience. They will tell you that when somebody goes from an active mindset to a passive mindset, the only people that drive them to that are usually their employers, because they do not give them enough motivation or incentive or motivate them to work. Now, and also has been shown that once somebody goes from an active to a passive mind, getting them to go back to an active mind is very, very costly, and they will usually leave before you do so. Now, the consequence of that is the more people that leave you, the more people that you churn, and the less number of people that you retain means you have to develop new people. And who suffers? The business suffers. Would you all agree with that? Put up your hands. Yes or no? Yeah, okay, great. All right. So investing in human capital is critical. Let's talk about investing in human capital. Let's go to a simple business. If you employ a waitress, how could you invest in her human capital? Can anyone tell me? There is at least 6 elements that 5-star restaurants invest in a waitress. What are those elements? Can anyone tell me? Put up your hands. Come on. Wake up, people. Start thinking like students. If you want to retain a waitress and you want to make her love her job and never work for anyone else, how would you invest in her? What are the 5 critical elements that you would have to invest in? Anyone? Anyone except for Claude again? Come on, I want to hear from someone. Anybody here works in F&B? No? All right. Well, let's talk to Dennis, because Dennis is a young guy. One day, Dennis will become a CEO of his own company. This guy has never missed a biz talk. Dennis, tell me, what do you think a waitress needs to learn to become the best waitress? What do you think it is, Dennis? Tell me. Unmute your microphone, Dennis.
Can you repeat, sir, the question?
Okay, Dennis, I want you to think. What do you think are 6 things that a restaurant need to teach its waitress if they want her to be the best waitress in the country? Give me 6 things that you think are important.
It depends, sir. Because I'm studying hotel and tourism management.
I know that. That's why I asked you. I know that. So tell me, what are 6 important things that you think you know about what a waitress should know?
Maybe how to serve the how to proper talk to the customer.
Yeah. Okay. Number 1. Number 2.
Number 2 is the SOP in
The
preparing
standard
the food.
operating procedure. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Number 3.
Then how to how to respect the hierarchy. Just like if you do not know the proper preparation, you can ask your supervisor or manager.
Good. Okay. Give me one more.
I'm feeling.
That's okay. You did well. You did well. By the time you graduate, you'll know it inside out. Let me tell you, young Dennis is a student and he's studying, and he's at the beginning of his hospitality career. I want you all to take note. A waitress will never love her job if she only learns the SOP. A waitress will never love her job if you only teach her SOP and tell her to respect her manager. She'll quit after 6 months. The elements that a waitress looks for in a 5-star Michelin restaurant are as follows. You need to groom her and tell her how to dress, how to put on her makeup, how to wear her shoes, what jewelry to wear, what perfume to wear. You need to give her a uniform that's going to make her proud to wear. Number 2, you have to teach her how to speak. You have to teach her the etiquette of the English language. You have to teach her how to use her voice so that she commands the respect of the customer. Number 3, you have to teach her customer service skills that exceed the expectations of each and every customer that walks through the door. Number 4, you have to get her to learn the menu inside out, upside down, back to front. She has to know the ingredients in each dish, just like the chef knows how to cook it. And if she doesn't, she will not represent you as the restaurant ambassador that she should be. Number 6, and this is the most important part. She must have a gut and love for gastronomy. She must love food. If she doesn't have food in her blood, if she doesn't enjoy eating and serving food, she's in the wrong job. Now, don't tell me that waitresses apply for a job because they love being a waitress. That would be a lie. Waitresses apply for a job because they need a job and they need to make a living to survive. But it's up to their employer to convert them from the mentality when they join to a mentality that makes them proud of the job they have as a waiter. You understand that? Okay, let me give you this. I want you all to write it down. In a 5-star Michelin restaurant, anywhere in Europe or in the advanced world, forget Asia because Asia is a different set of standards. In a 5-star Michelin restaurant, even in Singapore or Asia, a waiter doesn't start as a waiter. A waiter or waitress starts as an assistant waiter, assistant waitress, or busboy or busgirl. Their job is simply to clean tables, to put tablecloths on tables, set tables, and do all the dirty jobs like empty the rubbish, sweep the floor that the waitress teaches them. Once they've served as a busboy or assistant waiter or waitress for a year or 2 in most 5-star Michelin restaurants, or minimum 6 months, they will then become a waiter or waitress under probation for 3 months. Only then are they allowed to talk to customers. Only then are they allowed to serve customers food. Only then are they allowed to actually interact with the customer. Now, after they become a waiter or waitress, they become a captain, which is a waiter or waitress who has become experienced and who is responsible for a group of waiter or waitresses and the development of assistant waiters or waitresses. After they become a captain, they become a maitre d' or an assistant restaurant manager. After they become a restaurant manager, if they're good enough, they become F&B managers or restaurant managers. Do you understand how much depth there is in the life of a waiter? Yes or no? Now, can I ask you, if a company does not care about human capital, do you think the waitress will have all of those qualities? Yes or no? Come on, talk to me. Yes or no? Saying now, will the waitress have those qualities if the restaurant doesn't believe in human capital? Open your microphone, Seng now.
Yes.
Govind, open his microphone. Go ahead, Seng. What do you think?
Yes. Could you please repeat?
Repeat which, the whole lot or the last part?
I didn't catch your last word. So
all right. So what I'm asking you, Seng, is if the waitress doesn't get looked after by the restaurant, if the restaurant doesn't invest in the waitress by teaching her all of that, do you think the restaurant understands the importance of human capital? Yes or no?
Actually, I think no, because in Myanmar we don't have that kind of standards,
Okay.
and whenever we go to a restaurant, and let me share my
Yes, please.
experience.
Yes,
Yeah, let me
please.
share my experience. Whenever we go to the restaurants and we don't feel like uh, they know about the customer service and they don't have that kind of standards. They don't even teach the waiter or waitress about how to dress, how to speak, and how to give services to customer. So we feel so whenever we go there, we feel so angry, and why they even don't know why they trigger like that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, let me explain the difference. You see, this is not just the problem with the restaurant. It's the problem with your government and your economy. Because in your government and in your economy, there's no drive for restaurants to pay a minimum salary to waiters or waitresses. There is no minimum standard in training and development. So unfortunately, in your country, human capital is not a priority. Okay, the only priority for restaurants in Myanmar is profit. Okay, do you understand the difference? Sorry, do you understand the difference? Okay, Duong, Gwyn, do you understand the difference? Duong? Hi, Duong. Do you want to open your microphone and say hello? Hi, Duong. Do you understand? Do you understand the explanation that I just gave, Duong?
I get that, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so this goes no matter in what business you're in. Okay, let's take hospitals. Hospitals usually employ the best doctors they can. But when your country has over 100 million people, 1 billion people living there like China, sometimes the qualifications of those doctors are newly graduated doctors. They might not have the experience that all their professors have. So what happens to the level of medical care? It drops. People start dying. That happens in all countries. Human capital means that investing in employee training and development can lead to higher productivity as employees become more skilled and efficient at their jobs. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no? I hope that helps you, Seng. Does it help you, Seng? Seng now? Do you understand what I mean now? Good on you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, human capital is the driver behind any economy. Can I ask you, can your country fight a war without soldiers? Yes or no? If you think your country can win a war without soldiers, put up your hand. If you did, you'd be crazy. They can't. If you think that a female can give birth to a baby or a child without male, they can't. Okay? Everything has a need for something. It's human capital. All right? There's a need for everything. Okay? Whether you pay them or whether it's because girl and boy get married and then decide to have children. The girl can't have a child without the boy. Not that I know of anyway. Okay. Unless I'm wrong, correct me, guys. Okay. So there is a need for human capital, whether it's in our personal life or in business life. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. Now, let's go on. Human capital fosters economic growth and development. Human capital is a critical driver of economic growth and development in all countries. Whether you look at it in countries like Singapore, Finland, South Korea, they have invested heavily in human capital development, which has contributed to their economic success. Singapore is the second most globalized economy in the current world because of the important amount of money that they're investing in developing and retaining talent. Let's look at Australia. Australia doesn't care about human capital. I'm an Australian, and I say it without any fear. Australia has forgotten the need for human capital. Australia is now more focused on a government winning elections by paying social welfare and getting votes rather than retaining talent and developing its economy. Australia is on the same path as the United States. That's why Australians go and live overseas. I'm proud to be an Australian. Am I proud of the Australian economy? Absolutely not. Am I proud of the Australian record for human capital? Absolutely not. Am I proud of the level of money that the Australian government spends in training people so they can get a job? Absolutely not. They rather give them a check every 2 weeks and they remain unemployed, and they call them in Australia a metaphor, dole bludger, D-O-L-E, bludger, B-L-U-D-G-E-R. And that stands for they live on the government. They work for the government. Okay, now there's probably 6 million dole bludgers working for the Australian government in Australia. Why? Because the government can't give a damn about educating them or training them. They don't force them to go to training, but they still give them money every fortnight as a wage, working for the government as unemployed Australians. That's where the Australian government has failed. But this has become part of Australian culture. People in Australia expect the government to give them charity. And if they don't give it to them, they won't vote for them. But no government has the guts to say, okay, you have to go back and learn a new skill, or otherwise I won't support you. And once you learn that skill, you have to work that job for 5 years. Otherwise, I will no longer support you. If they did that, the rate of unemployment would go down, the economy would be stimulated. But they don't do it. They don't want to do it because they fear the emotional kickback that they'll get from their voters. I'm only giving you an example of Australia because it's my country and I don't want to insult anyone over different economies. But do you understand where I'm coming from, ladies and gentlemen? Yes or no? Let's look at China. I know some people here used to work in China. You know that post-COVID-19, shopping centers in China are closing, not by one, by the tens. Shopping centers in China can no longer afford to stay open. Shops have no customers. Shopping centers cannot collect rent. They're closing. They're becoming ghost houses, no one in them. Why? Because customers have learned, I don't need to go to a shopping center anymore. I can order online and save 30% and it gets delivered the next day. So the delivery companies in China are booming, but shopping centers are dying. And that has been the trend for the last 2 years. And it will continue to be the trend. Why? Because the government in China has not focused on retraining those people who used to work in sales. What they focused on is pushing people to become a mechanical economy that works in factories and in production, because China is known for being one of the greatest countries in the world for developing, manufacturing, and exporting goods all over the world. But has China recently invested money into retraining or recalibrating its workforce? No. And whether you like it or not, they're going to have to do it in the next 2 years, because the number of people who've become unemployed post-COVID-19 has grown dramatically. But China has a mentality that why should we train them? If you want to employ someone, you employ them, you train them. But the corporate world will say to you, you have to motivate me to train them. Give me something in return. Why should I train them if they walk out on me after 6 months when they find a better salary job? Do you understand what I mean by governments have to be human capital driven? Yes or no? Now, I might be just an academic, but I've helped companies all over the world restructure, reduce their costs, and retain talent. And all it means is strategically focusing how you spend money, how much money you spend on motivating people, how much money you spend on training them and showing them that they have a career path, and how much money you give them as far as an incentive is concerned in paying them the right amount of salary, even though it might not be as high as others, providing you show them that there is a career for them. But a lot of countries are not prepared to accept that. They're not. Look at India. Do you think the Indian Prime Minister cares about the kids living in the gutter? I bet you he doesn't even know their names. Do you think Mahindra, whatever his name is in India, knows how many kids live in the gutter? Yeah, absolutely. When he goes out onto the street and he sees them, he smiles and cares. But do you think he really cares? He doesn't. He doesn't. And that is not something that I'm telling you or making up. That is a fact. Let's talk about Bhutan, Myanmar. The king of Bhutan has recently come up with a program that every teenager must go and serve. It's like a military program, but it's not all about military. It's about learning national pride in Bhutan. It's about learning how to serve your country and being motivated to work and not sit at home and do nothing. It's not really military service. It's a watered down version that every Bhutanese boy or girl are invited to participate in. And I think it's about to become compulsory. That is Bhutan, because the king of Bhutan recognizes that if he doesn't empower the people of Bhutan, unemployment will grow, poverty will grow, and life will become a joke. Bhutan right now, out of all the small places in the world, still has a decent economy compared to other places like Myanmar. Okay? Because Bhutan and Myanmar are approaching it in a different way. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? All right. Human capital is a source of competitive advantage. Can you imagine the more human capital available for Claude or Jeffrey to employ in their business, the more trained people you have, the more choice they have, and the more competitive they can become. You work harder, I pay you. You come in, you train the others how to do the job, I pay you. The more people you train, the more people you develop, the more product we sell, the more profit we make, the more share or bonus you get. So it has a rollerball effect. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Yes or no? Okay. All right. Human capital has become a critical component of modern economies. It is a key driver of economic growth, innovation, and competitiveness. Firms, countries that invest in human capital development can reap significant benefits in terms of productivity, efficiency, and economic development. I'm going to talk to you about an airline. I'm not going to mention the name. Can anybody tell me, please don't get upset, girls, I'm just using this as an example. Can anybody tell me how much it costs to take a schoolgirl, a young girl, a girl who's been cute, Dumbo, that used to go to school, graduated, always thought she was beautiful, and finally she decided she wants to see the world, she wants to become a flight attendant. Can anyone tell me how long it would take this beautiful girl and make her a flight attendant? How many months of training and how much do you think it costs once the girl is selected? Does anyone know? Put up your hand. Have a guess. Anyone? No? Come on. Try. Someone. Try. Raina, do you know? Okay. Two. Do you want to try? Two, do you think you know? Two, Andra? No? Okay. Noella, you're smiling at me and you look like a bright lady like all the other young ladies. Unmute your microphone. Tell me, how long do you think it takes to train a flight attendant? How long do you think how many months do you think it takes?
In my own opinion, sir, I think 6 months is the minimum
You're on a good start.
training.
You're on a good start. I think
Yeah,
you just
for
Googled
training.
that. Yeah, you just Googled that, right? Okay.
No, sir. Just my guess.
Good girl. You're
Just
on
my
the right
guess.
track. Stay there. Well, let me just tell you, the recruiting process alone, you know, an airline like Emirates would interview 30 to 40,000 girls or girls and boys every year. Out of those, they might recruit 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, maybe 10,000 at the most. The recruitment process alone of conducting interviews all over the world, first, second, third, fourth, and final medical interviews would cost somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per candidate, which Emirates bears because that's the cost they have to put out to select the right candidate. Psychometric assessment, medical assessment. Now, once they recruit this girl, for example, Noella, or this guy like Dennis, young guys, big head, they think they look great, they think they know everything, and they want to become flight attendants and travel the world. The average cost of preparing a flight attendant, which takes an average of 3 months of just basic training before they can go onto a real aircraft on the ground and in simulators. is at a cost of $160,000 per flight attendant. Do you understand that? This is not a joke. This is serious. An average of $160,000. Now, that's not all training costs. That's the cost of using the simulator, the cost of repackaging life jackets, life rafts every time they use them for training, the cost of teaching people how to jump into a swimming pool, the cost of inflating a life raft for every time they have to do a life raft course. When you inflate a life raft and you have to close it again, the cost of testing that life raft and closing it is somewhere between $3,000 and $10,000. And each class of cabin attendants would try using a life raft at least 3 to 4 times. Now you think, you have 30 students, 3 times at $10,000 is $30,000. Okay? Now, then they have to learn how to evacuate from an aircraft. Then they have to learn the order of food service. They have to learn emergency procedures. All of that takes time and money. Now, after their first 3 months and $130,000 burnt in costs in the book, on the book, they then go on board the aircraft as a trainee flight attendant for at least 3 months or 2 months, depending on the airline. And they wear a badge called a trainee. And when they're a trainee, there's certain things they can do and can't do. They're still costing the airline money. Their only time they become fully productive is after 6 months when they can do the job on their own. So when you look at that, you know how expensive it is to invest in a flight attendant being recruited? Yes or no? Yes or no? All right. Do you know why it's so hard to become a flight attendant? Does anyone know why? Because it's not only your looks. The looks are important, very important. Your psychological state of mind is absolutely critical. And your passion to learn is absolutely critical. So if any of you want to become flight attendants, for the love of God, don't say, oh, I'm good looking and I love traveling. That won't get you a job. All right. I promise you. I used to be a recruiter for an airline. Okay. Do you understand that, guys? How much does it cost to train a doctor at university? Does anyone know? How much does it cost to send a doctor to university in Australia? If I want to send my daughter to study at medical school in Australia now, if she wasn't an Australian, I'm looking at an average of $400,000 to $500,000 over 5 years. But that includes education, accommodation, supporting her during her internship at the hospital where she earns peanuts, buying her a car because she needs it to go to hospital and work night shift. That's all included. All right. Now, if you say I can go and study medicine in China, in Germany, and it's cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper. You could probably study for $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 as a foreigner. Okay. But will your qualifications be accepted in other countries? If you graduated in China, most definitely not. You will have to go back and sit medical exams in a medical board in Australia, UK, or Germany. If you study medicine in Switzerland, can you work anywhere in the world? Probably yes, because they are at international standard. So there is a cost in developing people for the right job, no matter what it is. Okay. And that's why hospitals have to pay a higher price for medically trained human capital. Does anybody know how much it costs to educate a nurse? No? Well, if they go to a polytechnic in Singapore, it costs their mother and father around $40,000 to graduate as a nurse. That's with proper academic, a degree in nursing. If they just become a nursing assistant and just get a diploma, it's probably about $18,000. All right. But would you rather be looked after by a nursing assistant or a proper clinical nurse? There is a cost to human capital no matter where you go. Do you all understand that? Yes or no? Whether you open a business tomorrow and you open a restaurant, you have to pay for a chef. If your chef is good, you'll attract customers. If you decide after 6 months, I know the recipe, fire him and get one of the juniors to cook, eventually the quality will fall, the customers will know, and you've wasted your money. If you open a hairdressing salon and you promote it as a trendy Korean salon and you don't have Koreans working there, you will fail because it'll become a credibility gap and you'll burn your investment. Human capital is the key to your success. Do you understand that, everyone? Let's ask the question, how many different jobs is there in a hairdressing salon? Does anybody know? I'm not talking about your local shop. I'm talking about the big ones, the international ones. Let me start. First, you got receptionist, professional that's trained at selling services, talking to customers and making appointments. 2, you got floor attendants. They are responsible for sweeping the floor, cleaning the floor, refreshing the station, making tea and coffee for the customer, and giving them magazines to read. 3, you've got a junior or an apprentice who hands your stylist the tools and assists him, but does not touch your hair. 4, you've got a colorist who's specialized at recommending color. 5, you got a person that's called a permologist or a perm specialist that is specialized in providing perms and using perming equipment, which is usually a senior stylist. 5, you got an assistant salon manager and you got a salon manager. And on top of all of that, you've got what we call a director or a creative director. Now, usually in salons, they call him the creative director or a styling director, and he's usually got 10 or 15 years experience, and he's usually responsible for all the stylists that work in that salon. Now, if you ask yourself, but in the local salon that I go to, there's only 3 or 4 people. Yeah, that's why you only pay $20, $30 or $40. Okay, but if you want to go to one of London's largest salons, one of Korea's most expensive salons, one of Japan's most expensive salons, one of France's most reputable salons, girls, you're looking at a $300 haircut. Okay, do you understand that? All right, so what are you paying for? You're looking for the talent, the human capital. That's what makes the price more expensive. So when you pay for something, there's a cost, and the cost is the human capital. That's what you're paying for. Do you understand that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, good. Okay, human capital, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? Yes? Okay. Human capital is an essential source of innovation. Human capital brings innovation. Human capital enhances productivity and efficiency, providing that capital is active and not passive. As Mr. Claude told you, when somebody becomes passive, there's no longer improvement. You become stale. You're no longer there to attract customers or to bring results. You're there simply because you haven't been fired and you get a salary. Am I right with that, Claude? Human capital fosters economic growth and development. So without human capital, countries cannot develop their economies because of high unemployment, inflation, and poverty. Human capital is a source of competitive advantage. If you can recruit better people, you'll be able to get more business and outdo your competitor. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Can I use a simple example? And I'll use 2 simple examples, all right? Okay, let's say I'm going to, let's use the girls example first. Girls, you're going to a salon, all right? Navneet, Rowena, all of you girls, you have just found out today that there is a great big Korean pop star band coming to your country. And this band has 15 of the best looking Korean singers in it. They're all single. That's the scenario. And they're all coming overseas on tour. And they've told the world that whilst they're on tour, they're looking for their future girlfriend. Okay? So all you girls have decided that Friday night, you all want to go to their concert. But you all look in the mirror and you find out that the only way that you're going to look attractive for them is to become cute and have a cute hairstyle, that Koreans like. So you're not going to go to your Filipino salon, Noella, where there's an old lady that looks after you. You're not going to go there, are you? No, right? Yes or no? No. You're going to say to your mother, Mama, the $200 I got in salary this month, forget it. I'm not helping you. I need it. You're going to look for the most expensive Korean salon in Manila, and all you girls are going to go there, and you're going to want to be looked after by the most senior Korean creative director they've got, right? And you're going to say to him, Noella, well, I am going to a concert on Friday. And he'll say to you, you mean the Korean concert, K11? Yes. So you want a sexy look, so they will think you're attractive, right? And this creative director is going to show you all these pictures. He's going to change the color of your hair. He's going to soften it. He's going to put a perm in it. He's going to change your style. Then he's going to tell you that you need a manicure as well. And he's going to give you the complete overhaul, young lady, all of you. And you're going to spend $300. Why? Because you are motivated to do it. And unless you could find the human capital who's prepared to give you the result, you will not spend $300. Am I right or wrong? Yes or no? Yeah? Okay, good. Now let's go to the other side of the business. Okay, how many of you, does anybody here, we've spoken about steak. Let's talk about something else. Does anybody here smoke cigars? Put your hand up. Smoke cigars. No? No, okay. All right. Does anybody here play golf? Put your hand up if you play golf. No one plays golf. My God, you guys, where are you living? Okay. How many of you here enjoy wine? Put your hand up if you enjoy wine. Claude, do you enjoy wine? No. Okay. All right. So let me take you to another example. It's okay, guys. You're making my life very difficult today. If you go to buy wine at a wine shop, you expect the sales girl to know wine, right? Yes or no? So let's take another example. If Reina tonight decides that her and her boyfriend are going to have a good bottle of wine, but they don't want to go to a restaurant. They want to buy the wine and they want to go and sit at home or in their car and just enjoy the wine and talk about life and what their future plans are. So Reina and her boyfriend go to the supermarket and look for a bottle of wine. Reina, hypothetically, Reina, example. You go up to the girl in the supermarket, you say, excuse me, can you recommend a bottle of wine that's under $20 US? So what does the girl do? She looks and she says, this one, only $15. And Reina will say, yeah, can you tell me about this wine? And she'll say, well, it's Australian. It's got Australia on it and it's red. That's it. And if Reina is stupid enough, she'll buy it, right? Yeah, Reina, you'll buy it because it's cheap. But does Reina expect more from that girl? Yes. Now, if the girl looks after the wine department in a supermarket and the supermarket wants to increase sales and productivity, they would send that girl to a wine course or what's called a vignette course, if she's the department manager, to teach her the history of wine and what wine is all about. Now, they don't have to send her to a vignette course because that will take 6 exams, 6 months, and $12,000 if you go to one of Switzerland's best schools. But if you want to do a proper 10-day course in wine or 3-week course in wine, your company can send you each week for 4 or 5 hours, probably cost them $1,000 or less. But if the supermarket is not prepared to invest in its human capital, then 3 things. Their wine sales will drop. The girl will get complaints because the customer doesn't like the wine she sold them. She will feel like she's got no future. And it's all going to add a cost to the supermarket's operations. Do you understand that? Because they're not earning high revenue on their wine and they're eating up floor space. They could use that floor space to sell cheese or meat, which will bring in more sales because their staff are not trained to sell wine. Does everybody understand the importance of human capital? So if we look at point number 4, human capital is a source of competitive advantage. It is. But in order for it to be a source of competitive advantage, you have to invest in it and train it and develop it. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Come on. Good. Excellent. Dim San, open your microphone, Miss Singta. Dimsan, Singta. Hi, Dimsan, talk to me. How are you today?
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right. Do you agree with my example about you wanting to go out with a Korean rock band? Would you spend $300 just to go to their concert?
Of course, I will.
All right. So do you agree with me that human capital is really important in order to do that?
Yes, is it?
Can I ask, where are you from, Dimsan? Are you based in Manila or where are you based?
Actually, I'm from Myanmar, but I'm working at Macau, correctly in
Okay.
Macau.
Okay. Can I ask you, if you go out in the country where you're in and you go to a restaurant, are their waitresses trained? Do you think they deliver the level of service that you want?
Actually, here is yes.
Because most of the waitresses in your country are from either your country or from the Philippines, right? And they're very service orientated. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Very good. I know that. I've been there. I know that. Thank you very much. And let me just give you an
Welcome.
example. The reason, don't go away, Dim. I haven't finished yet. Put your microphone on, young lady. Don't be lazy. Put your microphone back on quickly. Microphone, open. Okay. The reason the country that Dim is in is so successful is because the government knows how many people visit that country every year for the religious pilgrimage, etc. So they invest a lot of money in ensuring that only skilled people can come into that country or people are trained before they can do that job. And that means that the country cares about human capital. Do you understand what I mean by that, Dimsan?
Yes.
Thank you very much, young lady. It's good to see you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, so does everybody understand the importance of human capital? Yes or no? Okay, so human resources is the department in a business that is charged with finding, recruiting, screening, and training job applicants. It also administers employee benefit programs, decides salaries. HR, ladies and gentlemen, plays a role in helping companies deal with a fast-changing business model. It helps companies actually satisfy the needs of the 21st century economy. It helps governments maintain a gross domestic product which meets world standards in the 21st century economy, moving into the 22nd century, if we're still alive. Okay, does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay, very good. Importance of human resources in business today. There are numerous important human resource functions carried out by a HR department. 5 well-known types of responsibilities are, I want you to memorize these. If you don't write them down, take a picture. Recruiting, hiring, and onboarding new employees. Handling employee compensation and benefits by making sure they have researched the market and know what is the right level of compensation. Number 3, offering employee job career development and continuous education. Addressing work-related issues and making sure that the employees are a member of the company family, that they're not just numbers. Making sure that no one goes from an active state of mind to a passive state of mind. Developing policies that affect a working environment company-wide, and that policy should focus on the well-being of the staff member, providing the staff an incentive to continue working. All right, I want to teach you one of Wally's famous principles that made me famous. And there are 2 famous principles. The first famous principle is true. Govind, can you write in the chat box the following? Capital T, full stop, capital R, full stop, capital U, full stop, and capital E. That is an acronym called TRUE. And then under that, Govind, I want you to write the following. T equals training. R equals role perception. U equals understanding of the task. And E equals experience. Have you got that, Govind? Okay, Govind? Okay. The next one, Govind, new acronym. Okay. First letter is W. Okay. Dot I for India, capital I, full stop, S for Singapore, full stop, C for China. Okay. Can you define that? W equals willingness. I equals incentive. S means sense of security. And C means confidence. Okay, let me explain that in simple terms. For anyone to be motivated, they must be trained. In order for them to be trained properly, they must understand the job and be able to teach that to someone else. Understanding the job and teaching it to someone else are two different elements. Do you understand what I'm saying, everyone? Yes or no? Okay, good. All right. So, understanding. And the last one is experience. Experience means the worker that you've been trained understands the job and has received feedback and is confident, positive experience doing the job. Do you all understand that? Okay. Next one. WISC, W-I-S-C. For people to do a job, they must have a level of willingness. How do people become willing to do a particular job? People become willing to do a particular job when they feel like they've been motivated. So if they don't have true, there is no willingness because they find that there's no future. Okay? Incentive. When people go to do a job, they not only have to be motivated, but in order for them to be motivated, there must be some sort of incentive. The incentive is financial reward, salary. The next one is sense of security, mindset. Positive mindset means security. Do you understand that, everyone? They need to feel that there is a future for them and they're going to be working in 6 months' time before they get a credit card or take out a mortgage. And C is confidence. How do they get confidence? It's from experience. Does everybody understand the two acronyms? They are Wally's acronyms. You know, a lot of people have said they developed them, that they're mine. I developed them when I was 22 years old, when I developed my first sales methodology, which became world famous. And it's known as the consultative sales methodology. And one day I'll share it with you all. Okay? All right. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no? So, do you all understand why the 5 well-known types of responsibilities are important? Yes or no? All right. Importance of human resources in business today. HR departments also handle employee compensation, benefits, and terminations. Human resource management strategies focus on actively advancing and improving the organization's workforce by improving people's understanding, providing them, empowering employees to be confident to serve customers, and showing them that they have a career. Therefore, WISC. HR departments must keep up to date with the laws that can affect the company and how it employs people. Companies today have moved from outsourced HR to actually having their own, okay, Let me explain that. Some companies today have moved outsourced traditional HR administrative duties, such as payroll and benefits, to outsource vendors. Well, a lot of companies, small companies, they don't want to employ a payroll manager that knows how to do payroll. So what they do is the HR manager in the company looks after recruitment, training, development, social employee welfare. But when it comes to processing payroll, they outsource that to a company who has payroll software. Does everybody understand that? And the companies that do this are usually small or medium-sized, 50 to 100 employees. Multinational corporations or very small businesses, SMEs, will usually have their accountant or admin person do it. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? All right. Functions that may be outsourced in payroll are payroll administration, employee benefits, which means telling the company what benefits they should offer their employee. They might employ a recruitment agency to find people for them. They might use a background company to check people's academic and references. Risk management. If you're employing people to work in the police force, they have to do a security check, a police check. Okay, safety inspections. If a company has factories and has to constantly maintain safety standards, they call an external safety audit firm to check safety. Office policies are usually written by a human resources consultant, which is what I used to do before I decided to go to full-time lecturing. I still do some consultancy for our own clients, okay? So consultancy is when you get a HR specialist like myself who passes their knowledge on to companies and helps them write their policies. Okay, all right. Does everybody understand what I've explained so far? Yes or no? All right. A HR department is an essential component of any business, regardless of an organization's size. It is tasked with maximizing employee productivity and protecting the company from any issues that may arise within the workforce. Today, more than ever, HR documents focus on human resource management, using strategic investments and initiatives to improve organizations' workforce. The long-term goal of HR is to create more positive, loyal, and productive workforce, which ultimately benefits the company. It's a very simple statement. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Human resource can promote business harmony, like an orchestra. Harmony, music, can make everything play along. The conductor in a symphony conducts the orchestra to get the perfect music. HR conduct the perfect symphony or the perfect harmony in all the persons in the company to make sure that everybody is an active mindset. Everybody is eccentric. Importance of HR, again, importance of HR can promote industrial harmony by implementing various strategies and practices aimed at fostering positive relationships between employees and employers, as well as enhancing organizational effectiveness. So here we said employees as well as enhancing overall organizational effectiveness. This is just breaking it up into more smaller refined categories. Okay, so HR are some ways in which HR, here are some ways in which HR can contribute to business and industrial harmony. And usually the biggest problem with employees in an organization understanding their employees, or employees understanding their company's vision, mission, and policies, are because people in HR don't communicate it clearly. So one of the most important ingredients in HR being able to effectively manage human capital is by using effective business communication. Effective business communication refers to the exchange of information and messages within the organization through clear and coherent English. It might mean using videos, PowerPoint, monthly town hall meetings. Business communication is intended to help the business achieve its fundamental goals. Ask yourself, how can a business achieve its goals if the people working for the business don't understand those goals and don't understand the company's vision? Can the goals be achieved? Yes or no? If you think yes, put your hand up. If you think no, wave your hand. Obviously not. If the people that work for the company don't understand its goals and vision and mission, okay, and do not understand it because it hasn't been communicated clearly, then you will not be able to get any productivity or maintain an active mindset. Simply, it is the process of sharing information between people within the workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, effective and clear business communication is how employees and management interact to reach organizational goals. It is a purpose to improve organizational practices and reduce errors. Why is business communication important? It's very, very important. Those with low engagement scores earn 32.7% less income. So companies who don't engage with their employees and communicate reduce their profit or income sales by 32.7%. Companies with an engaged workforce who communicate and who are actually used to receiving clear communication of what the company wants or expects see 19.2% growth in their operating income year to year over a 12-month period. And those stats are current as at 2023. Does everybody understand that? Do you understand how important human capital and maintaining a customer-centric or an eccentric, engaged human capital is to either a company or an economy? Yes or no? Clear, concise language, using formal language where required, and making sure that the audience, the people who work for you, can understand you. Companies gain from investment into human capital. How do they gain? Increase quality of production and services, increase employee performance, better use of equipment and systems, new products and new customers due to innovation by their human capital, a decrease in absenteeism because everybody in the company is happy and they are active and they believe in the company. They see WISC and that they have a career and a future. Better use of employees' potential by empowering them to think, be eccentric, and come up with ideas. Reducing the time necessary of training new employees in new technologies because you're able to retain your workforce, which is happy. Decrease in the costs of people being absent and sick because of low morale and they just don't want to come to work. They hate work. Increase in staff attitude. So if the staff believe that they have true and they have WISC, then you will have lower absenteeism, higher retention, lower turnover. And in turn, you will increase productivity, you will increase customer satisfaction, and you will increase revenue and gross profit. Does anybody have any questions or any doubts about anything that I've said here today? Please don't be a primary school kid. You're all adults. I want you to speak. I want you to ask questions and express yourselves like higher education students. Anyone? Okay, let's take the first question. Miss Singita, go ahead. Are you there? Go ahead, Singita. Singita. Go.
Can you
Yes.
please share me the note, please?
What
Because
note?
I'm coming late. The note.
You'll get the notes tomorrow or Monday via email, Dim San.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
get them all by email, providing your camera's been on. You'll get a certificate and a copy of the PowerPoint. All right? Is that okay? You'll get them by Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning. Tomorrow's Sunday. Sorry, you'll get them either Monday or Tuesday. All right, young lady?
Okay.
Good on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, anybody else would like to talk to me? Anyone? Anyone? Come on, people, talk to me. No one. Why isn't anybody talking to me? Govind, what have you done to all my students? Okay, Dennis, go ahead, Dennis. Unmute your microphone, Dennis. Yeah, go
hello,
ahead,
sir.
mate. Yeah, how can I help you?
Sir, how about just like your topic today for the human capital?
Yes.
Because some topic I read in via internet. Maybe some companies said after 10 years, just like the one of the airlines will
Yeah. Yes.
for example the South Korea Airlines,
Yes.
because and in the just like Dunkin Donuts serving a robot, then one of the uh, I read in internet.
Okay, well, let me just
Maybe
tell you,
if,
I know what you're going to tell me. Dunkin'
yes, sir.
Donuts don't use robots for everything. Let me just make that clear. Dunkin' Donuts use robots in certain elements of dipping the donut in the icing because the staff used to burn their fingers. That's one element they use robots in. And that only happens in Dunkin' Donuts mass production kitchens in the United States. In most other mass production kitchens for Dunkin' Donuts in smaller countries, it's very human intensive. So let me tell you, I am not saying that robots or artificial intelligence is of no benefit, but no matter how much robots you have or how many robots you introduce, you still need human capital. Does that answer your question, Dennis?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. Talk to you again soon. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next person. Who have we got? Relema Welo. Hi, Relema. Open your microphone for me.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Relema.
sir.
Hi, good evening. Nice to see you. Have you enjoyed tonight's session, sir?
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Okay, tell me, what are your questions, Relema?
My question is because we're talking about human capital.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I was just thinking because I see some companies where they don't like, what they do is they don't employ more people. Those current employees like do other tasks as well. So what I'm trying to ask is, what are the consequences of, like,
Well, let me tell you what that is. Okay, I'll tell you that. That is called bad human resource management, because this company is no longer put its people as its most valuable asset. What they do is they fire people or they lose people, but instead of employing more, they say you must do this job as well. Okay, if you ask for more salary, they say no, this is part of your job because business has slowed down. Now, people can get scared and they might accept that for 3 months or 6 months. But what will happen eventually, you'll go from an active state of mind where you love your job to a passive state of mind. You'll lose interest. You'll come to work every day. You won't work as hard. You'll no longer have a positive mindset. You'll eventually look for another job. Okay. And that will mean higher turnover, lower retention, and the company will lose value over time because the quality will go down. Does that answer your question,
Yes, sir.
Relema?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Relema.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next person. Daniel, Mr. Daniel, welcome back, sir. I just saw you. Hello, Daniel. Talk to me.
Good day, Mr. Wali. How have you
Hi,
been?
how are you? How have you enjoyed today's session, Daniel?
Very nice. I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, do you have a question for me, Daniel?
Yes, indeed. How can you help a shareholder or directors that don't value human capital? That's the first one. That's my first question, because you have situations sometimes where you get shareholders or directors that don't value human capital. Even for them to invest in training, putting in some money in, in training that they just don't want.
Well,
And
there's
the
only
second one,
okay, let me answer the first one first. There's only one way you can do it. You cannot convince them yourself. You need to get external help from a consultant or somebody like me to convince them. And for me to do that, I need to know the industry and trend and the industry actually, and then I can show them through trend and through other industry examples and case studies what it will do for them. And I can show them how cost effective it will be. That is a problem that I can fix, Daniel. And if you want to WhatsApp me directly, I can give you some hints on how to do that. That is a problem I can help you with. All right.
thank you.
What's
Thank you
number
very
2?
much. The second one is you spoke about the 6 things that are needed for a waiter to be able
Waiter
to
or waitress, yes.
waiter or waitress. Yeah. I think maybe just to re-emphasize those 6 those 6 things.
Do you want me to repeat them, or are you going to repeat them for me?
No, you repeat them.
Okay, all right. I thought you said I want to re-emphasize. I was going to say great.
No.
Okay, so could you ask me? Could I re-emphasize them? Right? Okay,
yes,
very good.
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So everybody, please, I want you to be like Daniel. I want you to take note and listen. Okay, the 6 core criteria. If I make sure I haven't forgotten them, because I said it 25 minutes ago, but I know them off by heart. So number 1. Before you can get a waitress to do the job of a 5-star waitress or of a professional waitress, first you must teach them about being proud of their appearance, their grooming, and the way they dress, and make them proud to wear the uniform that they wear. Number 1. That includes teaching them how to wear makeup, providing them the right uniform, teaching them how to wear their hair, what perfume to wear that's not too strong for customers, what jewelry to wear, teaching them about their nails. Number 2, you need to put them through a course where they know all about customer service, how customer service should be. They should actually be able to put themselves in the shoes of the customers that come to your restaurant. Number 3, they must know the menu and the ingredients in each of the dishes, inside out, upside down, back to front, just like the kitchen. They should have tasted every element of the items on the menu so they can talk about it to their customers. Okay, number 5, they need to understand why this restaurant is what it is. What makes this restaurant special and unique? Why is this restaurant expensive? Why do they have to actually deliver a certain standard? They have to feel secure in their job. They have to understand that today they may be a buzzgirl, buzzboy, assistant waitress, captain, maitre d', etc. If they don't feel the whisk in that job, then they will not hang around. And the last one, they must get the passion to be a waiter or waitress. When they join you because they need the money, but you must convert that to a passion. Does that answer your question, Daniel?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Sir. I hope that helps. Thank you. Okay, I can talk to 3 or 4 more people. Let's talk to Olive. Hi, Olive. It's Wally Router. Can you unmute your microphone? Go ahead, Olive. Yes, Olive, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Olive. Go ahead, Olive. Unmute your microphone. Yeah, go ahead, Olive. Hello? I can't hear you, Olive. There's something wrong with your microphone. I'm sorry, I can't hear him, Govind. Can you send him a message? Yes, go ahead, Olive. Can you hear me now? Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you. Can you fix your microphone and raise your hand again, please? Thank you. All right, let's go on. Let's talk to Jackie. Hi, Jacqueline. Jackie, unmute your microphone. Jackie, how can I help you?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm from Mongolia.
Nice to see you. Wonderful, wonderful. I wish you'd get more Mongolian students into my class. Tell me about yourself. How are you and how can I help you today?
Yeah, we are Mongolian fully understand human capital is most important in business and government. But
Yes.
actually, Mongolia has very, very low labor resource. But we invested a lot of money to the employee, but they left our company. How can retain their people to stay in the company?
Jackie, I understand where you're coming from, and this is I have Mongolian clients who I served as a consultant about 9 years ago. I can't mention their name because I've sworn a confidentiality agreement. But what happens with most companies in Mongolia, they recruit people, they invest a lot in developing these people and motivating them to keep them. But you have one problem. The Mongolian economy, the cost of living in Mongolia is changing. However, income is not increasing at the rate of cost of living. So what happens eventually, Jackie, and this is sad, is these Mongolians start to look elsewhere, other countries where they can earn a better income and leave Mongolia to earn more. So they thank you, they take the skills you've given them and they run. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, so the only way you can fix that as a business is to actually come up with a philosophy of saying that for every year of service, we'll increase your salary by a minimum of 5 or 7% per annum. And on top of that, every year, we will actually performance evaluate you and give you a bonus of company profit, okay, a share of company profit based on how well you've scored. Okay, now the reason you're doing that is because if you wait for your government to implement minimum salary or increase the national wage average, it's going to be a long time. So unless the company's prepared to take the competitive advantage of paying more than its competitors, unfortunately, you will lose people. Now, Jackie, I know for a businessman, you say, well, hold on, how can I pay more? Because if I pay more, it's going to reduce my profit. And if I pay more, my result would be to increase costs to my customer. I know that, Jackie, but let me give you the ultimatum. If you don't do it, eventually you won't have any skilled staff. The quality and service of your product will go down. Eventually, you'll run out of innovative changes. It'll take you time to bring in new people and you'll lose market traction. So at the end of the day, it's cheaper to increase your staff's income by 5 to 7% annually, make them feel more secure that there is light and every year there's a chance for them to get promoted, learn more and get paid more, retain them. Now, as a company that might eat 1 or 2% off your bottom line, that's okay. It's better to earn 2% less than earn 50% less in revenue. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Jackie? Are you there, Jackie? Okay, I hope you understand what I said, Jackie. If not, Mr. Govind, can you send my number to Jackie via a chat message? Give him my WhatsApp number. Jackie, my assistant will send my colleague assistant will send you my number. But Jackie, do you understand what I've said? Do you understand the logic?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
And Jackie, if you want me to give you some scenarios based on your industry and some arithmetic that you can use to convince your company, please contact me by WhatsApp. I'd be happy to do that for you. All right? It'd be my pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I can talk to 3 more people because I have another session. All right, let's go on to Erniko Bihasa, followed by Tepelo, and then Singnao, sorry. Okay, let's start with Enrico. Go ahead, Enrico. Can you unmute your microphone?
Yeah, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm good. It's good to see you. How can I help you? Do you have a question for me, Enrico?
Yeah. Actually, I have this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a Filipino, but I'm here in Kuwait for about 10 years. My question is about downsizing, just like Southeast Asian, like that. How can you comment on that, sir?
Well, I know about Saudiization, which the young king or the young prince, the Emir, is trying to do for his father. And I understand why, because Saudi has become very fat in some companies and it's affecting profitability. But His Royal Highness the Emir in Saudi is more particular about doing it in Saudi public service, which is extremely unlean. It's fat. And it's not fat because he wants it to be. It's because I bring in my son, my brother, my uncle, my grand uncle, because I'm CEO at a government department, I bring them all in. So the public service has become very unlean. So that's what His Royal Highness is trying to do. As far as Saudiization, or Saudization as he calls it, His Royal Highness Prince Salman has made it very clear that he wants to make companies more profitable. He wants to make government operation more profitable. He wants the national airline and Saudi Aramco, the petroleum company, to become more productive because they have a great influence on the Saudi economy. Saudi Aramco employs about 35,000 people. So they want it to become leaner so they can maintain competitive salaries and talent for Saudi Aramco and develop people, especially Saudi graduates. So I can see his perspective. So let's take that to Kuwaitization, which His Royal Highness, the current serving Emir of Kuwait, is trying to push. Now, the reason they do it in Kuwait is a bit different, because there is too many Kuwaitis that are unemployed, Enrico. Do you know that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. So the average Kuwaiti has a mindset: why should I work and lower my standards when I live in a rich Gulf state and the Kuwaiti government gives me money every month and feeds me when I need it, just like other governments in the Middle East do, okay? The Emirates, wherever, okay? Because the Emirates government gives the locals money to buy land, house, and start a company. So Kuwaitis have been used to being silver spoon fed for years. A lot of Kuwaitis don't want a job. They either want to own a company or they don't want to work. So in Kuwait, it's a different element. Kuwaitization is being brought in to encourage people to work. And there is a reason for it, because that Kuwaiti government knows that they cannot implement Kuwaitization overnight. They will still need foreign workers to develop Kuwaitis to do the job. But their biggest hurdle is convincing Kuwaitis to accept those jobs. I don't think you have a problem, because many Kuwaitis won't do the jobs that you do. Do you understand what I'm saying, Enrico? Yeah. And many years ago, I used to be involved in a project in Kuwait. My job was to actually convince Kuwaiti graduates who His Royal Highness had educated overseas to take up jobs. They said, why should I work when I can earn more by getting my monthly pay from His Royal Highness? So eventually the government said, you have to work or we'll lower that. They lowered it a bit. Okay, a lot of them worked, and after 6 months thought it's too much. They resigned their job. They didn't care about a career. Just like the Emirates, the government helps them buy a house. They're born Kuwaitis. They live from the government's wealth. Okay, so I don't think you have to worry about Kuwaitization in the near future, but it is something to keep in mind, Enrico, and that's why you should keep making yourself more valuable to that company. The more people you motivate, the more people you develop, the more productivity you stimulate through being eccentric, you're basically guaranteeing yourself a longer term job. You follow me, Enrico?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can we have this question? Yeah, you'll receive them by email together with your certificate by Tuesday at the latest.
I see. Thank you very much, Sir Wally.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure, Enrico. Okay, I've got 2 more people to talk to. Okay, let's talk to Tapelo. Go ahead, Tapelo. Are you there, Mr. Tapelo? Go ahead,
I'm
Tapelo. Yeah, go ahead. How can I help you? Welcome to today's session.
Thank you, sir. Mine is a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't you think artificial intelligence poses a threat to human capital, where we can have artificial intelligence doing the job that can be done by human beings?
Well, if you're asking me, do I think that humans will one day go out of work? I'm totally against it, and I'm telling you, as a human capital, a human relations, a human resource expert who has been in strategic management, business continuity management, and HR, which was my, passion, where I started my career 38 years ago. That will never happen. Artificial intelligence will support human processes, but it will never take over the human element. And let me just explain why. Because no matter how much I involve human intelligence or artificial intelligence, it still needs human intelligence to make it work. All right. Companies like Singapore Airlines, Singtel, Google decided to use artificial intelligence to screen 30,000 candidates applying for a job. They found out that the money they wasted on that artificial intelligence was unable to secure the right quality of candidates. So what they did, they've reduced that artificial intelligence to a smart website that takes applications. But at the back end, it still needs human element to interview those people. So are you saying that artificial intelligence will eventually put the human element outside the working sphere? No, I do not see that happening in the next probably 45 to 50 years, unless there's something that comes up along the way. It will not happen. But artificial intelligence will help make companies leaner and more productive, but it will not rule out human element. No way. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Okay, let's talk to Seng now. Are you there, Seng? Seng now?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Your question?
Yes. Thank you so much for your lecture. I've learned a lot how much human resource and human capital importance. So in my situations, it's very hard to get a good salary job in my country. And if I get that job and the organization doesn't fully support and it doesn't really running systematically. So in this situation, what should I do? Should I quit that job, or what would you suggest at that situation? Because
the first thing I won't do is I won't tell you to quit that job straight away. What I tell you to do is improve your qualifications, get an international qualification from a country like Singapore, which I believe you're doing. And whilst you're doing that, get my help to prepare a resume to put yourself on the international market. Okay. Number 3, as you get closer to graduating from your Singapore education, I will guide you and tell you what sort of websites you can apply to once I understand the position you're looking for. Once you get the job overseas, then you can look at resigning and moving. If you don't get a job overseas once you've graduated with us, there is opportunities for you to come to Malaysia, and there's 2 programs that we offer you in Malaysia that you might be interested in. One is more of an internship and work, and one is where you get very high international qualifications from a British university as well. But the program that I think would be best for you would be the internship training and work at the same time. But in order for you to get that, you will definitely get a better salary doing that than what you're getting currently. But before I can advise you on that, you need to graduate. All right?
Yes, thank you so much for your suggestion.
Keep in touch with me, Seng. Keep in touch with me, okay?
Yes,
you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. My co-host Govind, can you do me a favor? Can you put my name and my WhatsApp number +65 822 555 220 in the chat box for all 169 students? Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I thank you all for joining me, but I'm very angry today because only 169 students out of 235 that were here last week have joined us. So I need you to do me a favor. I need you to make sure you remind everyone who was here last week that Wally puts in a lot of time preparing these sessions. And it's really important that this number goes up to 250 to 300 every week, because it's really sad that 1 week I get 235, 300, and then I get 155. So I need you to go to social media, tell your colleagues and fellow students how much you've enjoyed this. And please, if you have a topic that you'd like me to cover, providing it's within my specialization, I will cover it. Drop me a WhatsApp message. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, success is about the ongoing journey in life. Your journey in life comes through continued learning. And one very important quality, humility. If you have the sense of humility to say, I don't know, or I need to learn, that's all you need to become successful. There'll always be somebody like me who's prepared to help you. Ladies and gentlemen, from me, Wally Rauda, it's been my pleasure presenting BizTalk to you today. I thank you all for being here. I thank my co-host, Mr. Govind, for supporting today's session. Can everybody give Govind a big hand and wave to Govind, please? He is the one that makes it possible to see me and for me to see you. From me to all of you, thank you. I look forward to seeing you, not next week. Next week is Chinese New Year. So from me to all of you who celebrate Chinese New Year, whether you're in Vietnam or in any part of the world, I say to you with my best Chinese, Guang Si Fa Chai, and I wish you all a very prosperous, may the new year on the Chinese calendar bring prosperity, wealth, and good health to everyone. Thank you everyone for joining me. I will see you not next week, but the week after for another exciting BizTalk. And I hope that we get our remaining 100 students that were here last week back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please drop me a message on social media, give me the thumbs up, and tell people how much you've enjoyed this and how informative it is for them to learn and get a certificate so they can get a better chance when they apply for a job. Any BizTalk certificate you get, you should add to your resume under extra training attended. Okay, and if you don't know how to do that, WhatsApp me and I'll send you an example. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Good evening. God bless. Gong Si Fa Chai. Thank you, Mr. Govind. Thank you, everyone.